Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back. So, good few questions this week actually, which is great. Um, what we're going to be talking about is one ankles or uh, posterior tibial tendonitis. It's kind of like a shin splints type thing. I'm going to talk about people being a little bit too focused on like your whoop or your recovery scores and how to balance that. Because I got a good good question or good comment from someone in our group, and it just kind of sparked it in me. Then I actually got another question from Monica related to zone two training, and I was listening to a podcast, and I was actually thinking like, there's actually nearly nowhere where zone two is the most effective training they should be doing. You really should be doing zone one or like zone three or zone four and then zone five. And I'm going to talk through why that might be the case and why I think Zone 2 got so popular and like where it would sit. But if you have a better structure, it can work. Oh, yeah. So I'll come into that. So I'm going to start going through some of these questions first. Um, okay, so let's go. I'm going to skip through to the. Um, perfect. Okay, so obviously you got off for a minute, Teresa. So wondering advice on posterior tibial tendonitis, which essentially is shin splints, or is that muscle, the tibialis posterior. Uh, I've had issues with my right ankle since my first marathon in 2023, but really flared up badly during my last training back block for my sixth marathon this month. I've been working with a strength conditioning coach to build it up. I think the weights he had me using were too heavy. I was using 9 kg single leg calf raises and 9 kgs in each hand for wall sits. I ended up with bicep tendonitis. So you're 5'1", with perimenopausal. After my 30K run, inside my right ankle, top of my foot got very sore, so I stopped the exercises. I went to physio who recommended banded work. Were you just doing that one out and in, or what was the
Yeah,
banded work?
yeah, the
Oh,
kind of out and in one.
yeah, it's not. It's okay to start with. It's not actually. It's not.
Yeah.
It's actually not a terrible one to do. He's away for a few weeks. I'm not sure what to do to help the tendon repair. The marathon last Sunday went well for the first half, and I was on for a target for a PB, but ankle started to get sore, so I slowed the pace down as I wanted to make sure I could finish, which I did. Well done. Well done, Teresa. It's always a
Thanks.
achievement. Which rehab
Yeah.
video would you recommend? I see there's an ankle rehab. Yeah, but is it too soon after marathon? Yeah, you're right. Okay, I do think that one. Ankle is about 1 or 2 out of 10 out of moments. So I'd still just wear your compression socks if you can. But I do have a Dublin half on the 3rd of May. You're always some
Um,
woman for like stay plugging at them. That was the same last year where you had like the marathon into another marathon, if I remember.
yeah, I've no more marathons planned. I'm not doing any, I'm not even signing up until I get this ankle healed, but I do want to continue running if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. Like look, and as you said, then let's focus on that. Like 3rd of May, if you have to skip it, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of
Yeah, it's not
5Ks on around that time. Um, I think I'd wear my compression socks. Let me share the screen.
like every day or.
Yeah, I probably just when it's sore, like maybe in the evening time for 2 hours. Um,
Oh, I have
then
compression boots. Should I use them?
could use them as well. I get the compression socks because the boots are more of like a massagey type thing. The socks are just a little bit like
You
tighter.
can walk
I just
around in.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just find them. I find them good. Yeah, and you can wear them for like 2, 3 hours, say. I think the ankle rehab would be a little bit too aggressive now because there's that hop and a landing. So what I would do is uh I would start in the calf rehab. And again, I know I said this before, but like getting the muscles around that burning like crazy. So if I was doing it, I would go like I would just do calf phase one with the Pilates. So like just keep your normal Pilates. That'll just work on a little bit of ankle mobility anyway. And
Perfect.
it's going to just be like loads of kind of like that single leg deadlift hold. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to work like isometrically, the muscles here, but it's not putting it under like crazy pressure. Do you know what I mean? So slight bend in the knee, holding those for like 10, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, just to get really that foot and calf burning, and that'll start taking pressure off the ankle. I think we also have, there's a bit of Running Man in there, and I think I have a little bit of, I have a little bit of balance. You could just close your eyes doing that. So that would be a nice place to start, especially after marathon for like the next 2 weeks.
I know
Um,
that kind of looks like I could manage that. It's just anything with heavy weights. I
yeah,
always seem to get injured every time I do weights.
yeah. Look, yeah, we can build up to it. As I said, it can be kind of heavier initially. I think that one will really get the ankle, you'll get all the muscles working around it, which should take pressure off the ankle, but it's not
Perfect.
focusing on like heel drops and heel raises or like overly stimulating. It'll just get muscles burning. Wear the compression socks after that because we are kind of focused on that. I would then,
Perfect.
before going for let me see if the phase two has it. Before going, I just want to see this as if the wall dries in it. Yeah, you can do phase two. Let me see if phase three has it as well. I'm just gonna have a look. Yeah, you could even go right. So do 2 weeks. Then we can add in like go to phase three for you for like 2 weeks. So it's working on that with like wall drive and reaches back. You see the way the heel stays up the whole time.
Yeah.
So that'll start to focus on getting that like soleus strength up a little bit. And I would do maybe 2 weeks of this. So you've done 2 weeks. That's given a lot more recovery time after the marathon. Then this is going to start focusing on around the calf and getting that propulsion a little bit more. So I do that like there's a few more just progressing on what we're doing. Then this is where I said, as you said, like I think the focus has to be on getting the ankle right first. So let's, even if it means that you're doing less of the, say, do your runs, but if it was, I need to redo this video, but if it was between this and the training, say, for example, I would go with this because what's this going to do is bring in, like, get a skipping rope because I want you then just getting that plyometric action because this will get you really burning through the foot and the ankle. So it's still balance, but it just has at the end these hops. They're 50-second hops, hop, hop, soft landing. You want to have that as making as little as effort or as pressure as you can because I've had a lot of patients who've come in and you'd be surprised how weak you are landing. That's just very heavy. And then if you're doing a marathon or whatever, it's just when you start to land heavy, that's when the joint starts to get really jammed up.
No, that sounds good. So when do I start the hops? Is that like week 5 or week
Yeah.
6?
So you go week 5. So go like
Okay,
two
perfect.
weeks phase one calf, 2 weeks phase three calf, 2 weeks then into the ankle rehab here.
Ankle rehab. Okay,
Yeah, and I,
perfect.
I think that will make a massive difference. I think once you're up, and then we can do this one once it's up and running, we can keep it going maybe for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I think you'll know yourself once they're at the hops, you're still running anyway. I think you'll feel like God, I'm actually pushing off that foot feels like a lot stronger because what's probably happening is like heel drops and heel raises are fine, but you don't get that like plyometric activity. And then I think there's other stuff that we can do that will help that first, and do it in both legs so you have it. But getting that hop and landing will really jazz up. It's exact kind of running that we need to do so that you're not going to like tire. And what's happening then is that you're just really pounding through that joint.
Yeah, I think my problem was we were trying to build up the ankle and the weights just got very heavy very quickly. And when I had that as well as marathon training, it was just too much for my body to handle.
Exact. But that happens a lot, like where like that's why you can see on the first one, it's more like single leg deadlift. It's like bridging, it's running man. So you see, there's no like heel drops or heel raises in that
Yeah.
because what you want to do is like if you're loading, like these are like overload issues. So if you're loading the leg, as you said in marathon training, you don't want to load it also in your rehab. You want to like get everyone else working harder in the rehab uh, to take pressure off that area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, definitely.
Yeah,
You know, it's good to just have a bit of a plan ahead because you know when
yeah,
you're not training for a marathon, you're like, what am I going to do with myself?
yeah. And this
So
we
it's
have
good to have the
like,
plan.
look, as I said, we have the 5K, 10K plans, which would be good, like, and just if you want, like, just email us and we'll like put you onto one of those, and we can just drop out a run or two and put in extra rehab so that you're still kind of like know what you want to do, because it can be hard when you're like, I think one of the things people love about the marathon is the 16-week structure. It's like, right, I'm doing this for 16 weeks. Every day is planned. So we can still, I would still recommend that, but it might be just like, okay, Monday is calf or ankle rehab, Tuesday is a run, Wednesday is Pilates, Thursday is a run, Friday is a rest day, Saturday is either a rest or another session, Sunday is gym or whatever. Like, as long as we have a plan, it's easier to set it up. Like after the marathon, sometimes when you don't have anything, it can just get a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I kind of just want to get back to being able to run and not be worried about getting injured and to be able to maybe do a bit of interval work and stuff like that without being afraid. That's all I kind of really want at this stage.
Yeah, I do. I think it would help. I think you go in, even the fact that you're in for a half marathon, I would like, ideally, I think I drop that to like a 5K or 10K block.
Yeah,
Because it's,
it's just because it's a Dublin half, so it was a lottery. So if it wasn't a lottery, I'd be like, oh yeah. But to be honest, if I can't do it, it's not the end of the world. I know I can give that ticket away easily enough.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, it's a lottery, but it's not like there's no money at the end of it. Do you know what I mean?
Just a medal.
If you're gonna win a lottery, you don't want to be the Dublin half marathon, like, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Um,
no. And I have another or half marathon in September. So like that's the one that I'd like to kind of really do a good try at.
yeah, look, like, you can still, let's do the Dublin half, but I said like more take it in and enjoy it. But I'd nearly, to be fair, I'd honestly nearly put you on like a 5K type training so that let rather than these long ass runs and all, and then maybe just do a longer long run, and we could adapt it. See, if you have a plan, that's fine. But if you need a plan, just let us know.
Oh yeah, no, I think I should be. To be honest, I think because I'm just off the back of the marathon and I'm just cross training at the moment, that it shouldn't be too much of a stretch for me to do the half anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so perfect. Thank
brilliant.
you so much. I really appreciate that one.
No problem. Thanks, Teresa. Thanks, mate. Okay, another question. I'm gonna go to this one. Sorry, guys. I know the two you have one, but um, I'm following on the 5K program for the moment just to build speed before I lock onto marathon training. I always think that's a really good idea. Um, I'm also doing some cycling, 1 hour sessions on the indoor. Any advice how I could blend this in with the running and Pilates? Is it a good idea to incorporate the bike? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Even we're talking there with Teresa. That's why I want to bring this one up. It's like, it's a good way of staying like aerobic, but having time off feet. So like, say if Teresa is doing, like, she doesn't have to do this, but for example, if she was doing like the ankle rehab and then was meant to go for a run, but maybe she wants to not load the leg as much. Uh, yeah, perfect. See you, Teresa. Um, if she did like bike one day, and then as I said, maybe you go uh uh like zone two bike, so warm up, you go easy for the first like 15 minutes, and then you go zone two on the bike for like 15 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes easy, zone two, 15 minutes, 2 or 3, and then maybe finish it off. So you've done 30 minutes of zone two, and then you'd have 15 minutes easy at the end. Um, Great. It's still an easy run. You're getting a spin. You're really working the aerobic, but you've given like the legs a time off. And again, I know people for cross training, sometimes if they have, if people are getting ready for marathons, it's actually a great way of increasing your endurance using the bike without having to do so much volume on feet. If you're someone who struggles with that, it's a great way of incorporating that in. So they might just do their workouts on a run, then a recovery, instead of a recovery run, I always do recovery runs anyway, but like if there's someone that's struggling, then must do the recovery day on the bike. That is a brilliant one to do. So you might go, instead of easy run Monday, it could be an hour on the bike. And again, because usually you'd have to do, say if you normally do a 60-minute run, you want to maybe do like it's 90 minutes on the bike. But as we were talking about with Laurie before, like 90 minutes on the bike is a long time. So what we might do is like 15 minutes easy and then go zone two on the bike. The intensity is higher, but because you're off feet, you're not getting the same impact. So your body will recover a lot more. And then say on Tuesday, you do your running workout. Wednesday, you might again do a run, or you might go on the bike. Thursday, it might be a rest day. Uh, or say Thursday, maybe then could be a run again. Friday could be rest day. Saturday could be a run. Sunday could be a long run or a cycle. So we could put like two cycles in there. On maybe on the rest day, I'd have the Pilates, or on the Thursday, I would do the Pilates. Generally, I like doing my Pilates on a Monday or a Thursday. Um, yeah, so then that's a nice little balance in the week. Okay. Do you know what's so funny, Monica, right? I'll go to your one. Where is your one? It's not put in here. See, and I wasn't on the ball, so you put it in the group. Sorry, because it's so funny, right? I was literally just thinking that's what I was going to talk about today, zone two. So Monica put in, how does your zone three and zone four training compare to the Norwegian singles method of a high volume, low intensity running approach, focus on controlled sub-threshold workouts, 2 to 3 days, I think, paired with high volume, easy zone one on the other days? It's the exact same. All right, so this brings me on. I was listening to Stephen Scullion. He was on like a high performance podcast. It was actually very good, but he talks about zone two being so overrated. And I was like, yeah, he's so right. Like, because where zone two got very popular was people cycling that do a lot of zone two because they're doing a lot of volume. And then where it became popular for runners, I think, is running in general. You had people either, most people were actually just going out and running too fast. So you like, you've been running longer, Monica. Like, I don't know if you can remember back to, or James, you can remember back when he started, but or you have friends who run. Let me know if you've seen this. So I'll tell you an example, right? I had three of my housemates when I was doing my masters. I was doing a masters over in Newcastle. We're all doing physio. They're all like into sport as well, and they're like three of them getting ready for a 10K. So obviously I'm faster than them, so I wasn't going out running with them. But like after a good few weeks, I was like, oh, like what you doing training wise, say when you go out? And they were just running 10K as fast as they could. Like they'd go out for a 10K run 3 times a week. I'm like, are you for real? Like I'd like, and there's another friend, another guy then, he got a, we started coaching him. He only run twice a week, but now he's running 5 times a week because he'd go out and run basically kind of nearly as hard as he could for a 5K. Like it'd be basically a race. He wouldn't be geeing himself up, but it's going. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Just start like run easy and then have our intervals, like do zone three, zone four. And then all of a sudden, because it wasn't as hard, he's not like dreading runs. So he starts getting out a lot more. He's like, well, I can just go out for 40 minutes, or I can do 10 minutes warm up and then go into like zone three, 3 by 7 at zone three, come home and I'm not spent and I'm not like worried about it. So he started getting out way more. And he was running like 24 minutes for 5K, despite the fact he's going out running hard, running 2 hard 5Ks a week. He got that down to like he wanted to beat his brothers that they ran together, and like they again ran 23 minutes or something. He ran like 19 minutes. And it's only because he was like getting more volume. So the idea of on the Norwegian side is the idea of like, don't be just flogging yourself, build that engine. So when people said zone two, really what they were getting is this idea of zone two, zone three, zone four running. So it's not like we're not plodding, but we're not sprinting. It's that like longevity, build the engine. Now, once you have a structured training, and like say like the lads would have seen a lot of the Norwegians. I know guys who've trained with the Ingebrigtsens. There's a couple of things, right? They don't do zone two running. They do zero zone two running. So the Norwegian model has zero, even though people say it would be zone two, it's not actually zone two. So just to remind people, sorry, does that bit first, does that tie in, Monica? I don't know if either of you can come off mute, but does that tie in what you would see with like people starting there to going either too hard or they're just barely plodding?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I started, I mean, I only probably started the zone three stuff with you, and I would have ran a lot harder when I'm at all the club sessions and stuff. So you tend to get a little bit competitive as well, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And look, that's not even a bad thing at the club. What were you like? Were you on your other days, would you just run fairly hard or just fairly easy then?
No, I think fairly easy. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so when they're talking about like the Norwegian model or whatever, Monica, what they're thinking is people like you that when they're either on they're on their own and it's always go out, or they go to a running session, and essentially, to stay aerobic, which is like 80% or 90%, you have to improve that zone, you have to train in that zone. But we want to push it and we're always going. So what we're doing is we're training anaerobically. It's like if I use the example of a hybrid car. Um, if there's no smoke coming out the exhaust, it's 100% electric. If there's some smoke coming out and the battery's working harder, it's it's the battery plus the combustion engine, the petrol. If you're on the motorway and it's all the smoke is coming out, like the battery's tapped out, going faster is just 100% the is 100% the petrol or diesel engine. And it's the same. So you're going harder and you want to improve the battery performance, but it's like you're working the combustion engine. You want to improve aerobic because that's the 5Ks, the 10Ks we do, but you're actually training like you're going to be running in 800 meters because you're just improving your ability to tolerate lactic. So this was a revelation because it just allowed people to realize, listen, you shouldn't be just flogging yourself and going easy, just then barely jogging. It's like there's this gap in between where you really can enhance the aerobic. Now, where this comes in, let me share. Where am I going to find this? Classic me. Let's go final search. Where this comes in, right, is when you're actually some way like following a plan, there is there's no real place. Let me. Okay, so that's Sunday. Okay, so there's no real place for zone two running because zone two running is the aerobic system. Now, if you think about it, right, what we want to do is get recovery days, and then we want to work the aerobic system, and then we do need to work on like that faster stuff is fine as long as it's like a portion a small portion of your training. So where does zone two come in then? Because if you're thinking of a structured week, zone two is like the first time you're working aerobically. So zone three is going to be like your marathon type pace. If you think of it like a marathon, you can hold that pace for 3, 4, 5 hours in some cases. So like you don't really want to be running to develop the aerobic, developing the system that helps you for like 6, 7, 8 hours isn't that effective. And then we might go for the one that's helping the 5Ks or 10Ks, which is zone four, the threshold stuff. So with that in mind, then say this is a Monday. I don't know why this starts on a Sunday all the time. Say Monday, if we've done a long run on Sunday, Monday can be a place where you might put in some zone two. So you might do like 30 minutes easy and then 30 minutes at zone two because it's essentially just like concentration pace. like you should be able to still chat to someone, but you're just concentrating a little bit. And that will put you into zone two. Easy. You're able to talk away to someone. But when I'm doing it, it's like I'm just not completely relaxed. I'm like just being a little bit intentional with my running. I might go easy on Monday because I've had a long run and that's going to be tired out my body. So I might go easy here and I might do my Pilates. And then Tuesday I might do my zone zone two for half an hour and maybe some strides to get ready for the session. But if I did it easy, that's fine because going easier here will allow then this workout to be more effective. So here we did say four by 6 minutes at zone three of 90 seconds. So what we're doing at zone four, is the higher end of threshold. Okay, it's the limit before we're going into anaerobic. So it's actually nice because that's the top end aerobic. We're challenging the aerobic system just to where it can go to stay breathing, to stay working. So that's like, sometimes we call it the maximum aerobic speed or lactic threshold too. It's what's the max speed we can do but still stay aerobic. Okay, so that's going to help top the ceiling up way more because you stay here, your body adapts to that. So now we can stay aerobic at faster speeds. If we're doing zone three, again, that's the marathon stuff and that's building up the foundation. But it's building up the foundation more than zone two because it's a little bit harder and it's kind of the chunkier work. So when people are talking about zone two, they lack the sophistication in the zones they have to do it more appropriately. Why did this guy do a long run Thursday and a workout on Friday or on a Tuesday? Because if you have to move things, like a long run is hard. Just even if it's down as a rest day, I don't know why he's done that as a long run. Right, let me move this out of the way. I'm gonna get distracted now because, okay, yeah, it should be an easy run and then we do long run on the weekend or whatever. He's doing a long run session here on Saturday. So say just for example, we should do an easy run here then. So again, we're not going to do a hard run here because we just want to recover. And the Norwegian system, all they do like 120K a week. And the idea is they'll do 2 kind of 6 mile runs easy the next day, like zone one, like to the fact that when they were on a training camp with Ingebrigtsen, he was going to a hill and walking up it for fear of going into zone two. Because when he's done a hard session here, so they do a massive volume of work to clear lactic. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to clear any like remnants of here. So they're not doing zone two here. They're doing their harder sessions. They do double threshold. And again, they'll do one session in the day will be zone 4 type work, and the other session will be zone 3 type work. The second session will be zone 3, and then the next day will be like zone 1, and they'll go zone 1, and they'll do 3 sessions. So they'll go Tuesday double, zone 1, Thursday double, zone 1. They'll do a harder zone 5 session on Saturday. And then they'll do a long run, and their long run is not super long. It's like 13 miles, but again, zone 1. So they're never doing zone 2. They do zone 3 and zone 4, zone 3 and zone 4, and then they do zone 5 on a Saturday. And everything else is about clearing lactic, getting recovered. Okay. And so what I'm saying is we're not going to do doubles because, like, 1, we don't have the time. 2, we're not trying to win an Olympics. But what we can do is we can do 1 zone 3 or zone 4 session, and we can do 1 zone 2 or 3, 4, or 5 session. And then we do need the recovery. We need the same like what they have, extensive aerobic recovery to clear lactic or build that aerobic base. And if we wanted, we can put like one session can have zone 2 running in it. Because that then allows the sessions to be more effective. If people are like going zone 2 because they think they need it, what can happen is that the zone 2 is not the most effective way of developing the aerobic base at all. Zone 3 and zone 4 zone 3 is gonna top up the engine. Zone 4 is really that meaty work where you're actually breathing hard and working on the paces that you're going to actually use. Zone 2 is essentially a recovery run that's a little bit harder. But then because it's harder, it's not really a recovery run. And as I said, with the Norwegian system, sometimes the concept of zone 2 is really good, because what it made people think is you need to develop the aerobic base, which is 80% and below, and not be flogging yourself. And then we do need some of those. Having a track session in the week or some hills and stuff like that is good for a bit of running economy, but the bulk of the stuff you should be doing is more aerobic. Does that make sense, Monica? Just based on your question, I don't know. I've gone on some rant there.
Yeah, that does make sense. I didn't actually realize that the zone 1 was for flushing out lactate. I didn't know that at all. So
Yeah,
that does
it's
make
basically
sense now that you mention it.
It's basically like it's just so they call it aerobic recovery. So it's essentially that it's just clearing any waste products, and it develops a low level aerobic. To be fair, it develops it's basically the same. Zone 2 will develop that aerobic system a little bit more, but it's not as good as recovery. So then if that's making you more tired for your sessions that really are effective, it's like, what's the point of it? So yeah, it's what we do with zone 3 and zone 4 is basically the Norwegian model, because the Norwegian model is zone 3 and zone 4 2 days a week. Only zone 1, they never. I'm saying on one of the runs, if you wanted to add in a zone 2 part, you can, but they never do that. They go, and they don't even do, like, they'll only go 6 miles and 6 miles, because they feel apparently after that it's less recovered, because the duration is longer. Now I do 60, and when I was very good, I was doing like 70-minute runs, because I'm working, and the thoughts of having to go out for another run was counterproductive. I'd rather just get it done once, and that stress on the body is higher, but then I feel like I had 24 hours to recover, which allowed me to be better for the next run anyway, as opposed to rushing from physio or what I'm doing out for another 30-minute run. Now, if I've nothing else on in the day and I'm a full-time runner and I can go for sleep, it's probably nice to do a second run just as something to break up the day. But yeah, so it's so funny you put that question, because that was something that I was going to talk about today anyway, that like zone 2 running really has no place in a person who has a structured plan. Okay, very quick. James left there, so just want to know the difference between the arm heart rate straps and the chest straps. I don't have an arm strap, but 2 of my friends have them, and they say it's the exact same thing. You would have seen people in the indoors, they would have had them on. That's obviously they're getting paid to do that. You'd never wear a heart rate strap. But they're like, look, probably doesn't make much of a difference, and they're definitely getting money for that, because why would you put extra weight on your body or something you're not used to? But the guys used to always wear heart rate straps, and they have that Chorus arm strap, and they say it works exactly the same. So yeah, if you want to use one of the Chorus heart rate ones on the arm, the upper arm, use that, no problem. It's the same as a heart rate strap. Okay, then the last question was, or the last thing I wanted to talk about was, I had someone, and really good, they're doing their training. Now, we put in optional rest days, but they didn't see that, so they just did all the training. So they did 6 days as opposed to 3 days or 4 days that they were going to do. And they were like, look, my watch now is telling me I'm unproductive and like highly strained. Like, with that, guys, be careful with these. Now, like, that could tell you that you're doing a bit too much, but you don't. So for example, right, I was a bit run down. I'm getting back into really good running shape. So I had a hard session on Saturday, and then I was feeling really tired during the day. I might have had a little bug of one of my nieces or nephews. And then I was tired again on Sunday. I did my 90 minutes that I was down for, just easy. I didn't feel great Monday, but I just did the 60 minutes that I was down. I'm taking my multivitamin, having an orange, just like eating, going to bed a little bit earlier. And then I did a session today and I felt fine. Now, the weather was crap, so it was meant to be like 4 by 6 minutes at zone 4. And this is something that you could do, Monica, just or anyone listening in. Don't be afraid to, if for whatever reason like that, I'm not maybe not feeling great. If you're doing 4 by 6 minutes at zone 4, I was really struggling to get the pace up and get my heart rate up. So I just switched that to 5 by 7 minutes at zone 3. And that's basically, like we talked about just the last question, all we're doing is developing the aerobic. And I was like, you know what, today it's easier to develop the more base level. I'll hit the threshold stuff maybe next week when I'm feeling a bit better. But it is a trend I'm seeing because we can have all the data now on our phone, on a Whoop. Remember, guys, right? What that is doing is every day telling you how you're feeling. But you have a plan over like a month, over say a marathon plan could be like 4 months. We have our 5K plans and 10K plans that are 12 weeks, they're 3 months. So we're not expecting you to we don't expect that watch to say you are flying every day. And what I just caution people to do is don't get hung up when that thing is telling you you're strained today, you're unproductive. A lot of times, guys, if you're not feeling sick, just get out. You don't have to smash the training. You don't have to this doesn't have to be your best day ever. But don't get in the habit of cutting out training that you're down for because the watch is saying, oh, it's not a great day today. You have a plan. And sometimes in the plan, guys, if you're in week 3 of a loaded week and you know the rest week is coming the following week, you're not expecting to feel good in the 3rd week. Like any elite, like I know we're not all elites here, but any elite group, guys, like they're doing everything for recovery. They sleep, they go on naps. I am telling you now, like as I said, I was with the Australian team. I've been with Olympians. I was a decent runner myself. They feel constantly tired. They feel wrecked all the time. They're constantly tired. And then they taper for a race. And we get this like super compensation effect. So there is a thing called like functional overreaching. Now, look, in that woman's case, she was right. She had done overtraining. Maybe chat to the coach if you're doing it, or sorry, I'm just trying to look for is this the one? No. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just looking for like a little thing. I'm just going to pause this for 2 seconds. So sorry, I found that thing, but me and Monica were just talking off screen. What they're doing that James Copeland, looking at that Norwegian medal. What are they doing in their training then?
Well, from what I can see, they're doing like I think they're nearly running every day, but they're quite diligently doing the zone 1 stuff the majority of the time, and then doing like sub threshold, which I think you kind of go by your 5K pace, and you kind of test your 5K pace every 3 to 4 weeks, like with a park run or something, and then that guides you as to what your sub threshold pace should be. And I think also you can do it by zones as well. So I was just kind of curious as to
sub
how does
threshold
it
would be
equate
zone 3
really?
basically.
Yeah. Oh, that is zone 3. That's what I was wondering, because that I was telling them what I do, and then I was saying, I wonder is that similar. So
Zone 3 would be sub threshold, and then you have threshold, it would be like zone 4.
Yeah, because you see LT1 and 2. Is that what that means then?
Yeah, so LT1 is we do that method. So when you're flat, say there's no lactic, so that's anything up to there is 100% aerobic because there's no lactic being produced, so there's no anaerobic product. And then LT1 is that first kick, so that's the start of zone 2. So it just means that some part of the run now it's not 100% aerobic. Some part is being anaerobic. And what you want to do is that challenges the body because it wants to stay aerobic. It works harder then to breathe and try get it back to aerobic. And then zone 3 is just that, but a little bit harder. So it's challenging the body more. And then that builds up to a pace where after LT2, after that, any increase in pace is anaerobic. And then you're not building it. And then, yeah, so they're just doing easy running. And then they're basically just doing zone 3 work. And do they do that like 5 by 7 minutes, or what
I think they're doing, yeah, it looks very similar. There's like 6 minute blocks, and I think it actually builds up to 10 minutes and 15 minutes.
Which is fair enough in a
so it is
marathon
building
block,
it up, and
yeah.
I suppose, yeah, exactly. You need to be able to sustain it. So, it seems really interesting.
Yeah, I
But
must.
very similar,
I'll actually
yeah,
I'll have a look at that, because it's always good to get different sessions and stuff. And like,
yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
that as well, Monica. It's good to, once you understand the principles of what you're doing, getting new sessions or getting slight variations and that can be great. Okay, so I'm just going to show this because, as I said, sometimes guys just don't get, like Monica was just saying there, like, having kids, her watch can tell her that she's unproductive. But you just don't get like absolutely, caught up on it. Again, is this acting up now? I'm just going to plug this out and see, does that help? Okay, so yeah, what you want to do is, sorry, this is just on overtraining, but like it's over time. So like you'd want to be like 3 weeks maybe, or 2 weeks at least, because remember, like we have a current fitness level. When we train, what we need to stress the body, like we want fatigue. Okay, so that then gets, but this isn't like, we say this is one, this could be like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then we like, if we go again, sometimes what we will do is we will have sessions where we're tired, with the idea being that we'll get this bigger compensation at the end. Okay, so sometimes we'll go in, and that can be what's called functional overreaching. Now, if we keep going that way, it can go into overtraining. But sometimes we'll do it in a way where we'll know we're not going to be feeling better the second session, that we will be a bit tired. But to say, for my example, that when you're coming into like week 3 or week 4, that we're having a down week, and then let's see how we're feeling after. Because I used to say the amount of times my last session on week 3 of a hard 3-week block was terrible. Never hit the times I was meant to hit. Take my down week, I'd freshen up. It would brought me on anyway. Also, again, sorry, one more thing. The guys, like when people are getting, like when COVID isn't as serious, say last year, I know guys who would be like, this is nearly like an altitude stint. Because it's harder to breathe, I'm running slower, but it feels harder. And they just know, like, in 3 weeks, if I was up at altitude, it's harder training at slower paces. But because your body's getting less oxygen, your body has to adapt and make more red blood cells. So once they were over that acute part of, like, say, COVID, but they had that remnant effect for, like, say, 2 or 3 weeks, they were taking that as a positive sign. They weren't looking at their watch going, they're like, yeah, of course I'm unproductive. I'm literally just after COVID, but if I stay working, I'm not flogging it. I'm like staying at the heart rate zones. It might be slower. I'm working that. Once then that cleared, they get a big kick on. And it's the same. Sometimes, guys, those unproductive things, if we're doing a structured plan, trust the plan sometimes more than you're trusting your watch. And as Monica said there, when we're off the record. Sorry, I'm recording again here. Oh yeah, still recording, sorry. Just like sometimes you gotta ignore it, guys. And then other times, look, I'm really tired. Maybe, look, just don't get in the habit of cutting out training. That's what I'm saying. Maybe do a little less. Maybe don't push it hard in the training. Like, don't be forcing yourself to get up to the zones. But that person didn't cut out training now, just to say, but it's just a little thing of, use the watch as a guide. It's fine, but don't get like religious to it. If you have a plan, wait till the end of the plan to see. Because the other way of training is just too difficult. It's easy to see when you're not feeling good, but you don't know what to do extra when you're feeling or when you're feeling bad. I'm going to take a rest day. But lads, like I've seen, I won't mention names, but like European champions who are psychos about training, like that they train loads when they really shouldn't. Now they do get injured and they get like sick, but they're literally, when it clicks, they're European champions. And I've seen other people who are obsessed about like being like, oh, I'm not feeling good today. I'm taking a day off. Oh, I'm going to be careful with this training session. And they get nowhere. So it's somewhere in the middle, like normal. It's Goldilocks. It's like, okay, listen to your body, have the structure, but don't be cutting out trainings thinking that like Whoop and all these guys, like I actually have no problem with this, but remember, they're selling you this. They're selling this dream, because if people didn't listen to this, they don't have a company. So when they're trying to tell you, oh, it's like the same people who are selling, like always talk about how if you get no sleep or this or that, you're going to do so bad. It's like they're always sleep experts. That's their job. That's where they make money. So just be careful with that. Usually I would say, guys, stick with your plan. When you're sick, use it then. If you're feeling terrible, like sick, obviously you take a rest. If it's in your chest or whatever. But if it's like you have a little niggle, or you are feeling crappy, like I had like probably a bit of a head cold or something, like I'm not feeling, my energy levels are low, go to bed early, but I'm still getting my training done, and lo and behold, Saturday after a hard session I felt wrecked. If I was using, I don't use a watch or anything for that, but if I did, it definitely would have said strained, unproductive. Went for my run on Sunday, it would have said strained, unproductive. Monday definitely would have said the same, and Tuesday would have been like, yeah, you're actually all right again. Or like, man, like sometimes again, like this is just taking limited data. We have it where the GPS mightn't catch you and it can say you're like highly strained, and then you'll be on the track where it can overestimate how fast you're going and can say you're flying. So look, listen to your bodies a little bit more, trust the plans that you're on, stay going with that, and understand that there will be times where you're tired, and that is part of the plan. Okay, great. So good session then. Monica, thanks for coming on again. And thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Hope you enjoy that. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.